Is the moon made of cheese? Keep watching to find out and learn other cool facts about the moon. Alright guys, so today we're going to be doing a video on the moon. The moon is one of the most important parts of our solar system, especially for us, right? And it really is our closest neighbor, obviously, right? Our closest large neighbor. And it's a satellite, which means it's an object that orbits the Earth, which means basically, in layman's terms, it goes around the Earth, right? Think of satellites in a modern sense, like, devices we use for, communication, internet, stuff like that. Mechanical satellites go around the Earth. Same idea here, but it's essentially a rock, right? It's a big rock, and it goes around the Earth. And people have said it's been made of cheese. I don't know where to keep going to find out, common misconception is the moon doesn't glow, right? We can see it because it's reflecting light from the sun, right? It's not eminent, there's no photons coming out of the moon. It's just reflecting those from the sun. So when you see the moon, not to get into operations of our eyes or anything, but when you see the moon, you're really seeing reflected light from the sun. So let's keep going. The moon looks like it's cratered, right? So we were talking about it could be cheese, right? But these craters are really just thousands, millions of years of asteroids hitting the moon, right? So if you hit something millions of times, it's going to leave an effect, especially because we don't really have water on the moon, right? So we don't really have a way to refresh it. Think of like the ocean. When you're at the beach, there's craters on the beach when the water comes in and, pulls the sand back and kind of smooths it out. There's nothing really to smooth out the moon. So if you hit the moon with a big asteroid, you're going to make a crater. So that's what we're seeing. It's a big rock with a bunch of craters. Spoiler, it's not cheese, but still very important, right? And very good. Very good to know, very cool. So when you're on Earth and you're looking up at the night sky and you see the moon, you're really going to see, it has a bunch of phases, but there's three main phases it has. The first one is the new moon. This is when it's the beginning of the solar cycle. It goes, think of it as a line. It goes sun, moon, then Earth, us looking up, right? So you can't see anything because, like I said before, when you're looking at the moon, you're really just seeing the reflection of the sun's light, the reflectance off the moon. So this is when you're in line, you can't see anything. There'll be no moon. You'll be like, oh, there's no moon tonight. The opposite of this is when we have a full moon. It's when you can think of it sun, Earth, moon in a line, right? Then you're going to get full view of the moon because you're having light reflect off the moon from the sun. And anything in between is going to be crescent moons of various sizes, because if you think about a sphere going around, you're getting certain amounts of light to reflect off it, and then you see the crescent moon. So new moon, full moon are the two poles basically, and then in between you have crescent moons. So that's what you're seeing when you're looking up. Here's some other fun facts, which I think are really cool. The distance between us and the moon is around 240,000 miles, which is a huge, huge distance, which is really only 1.28 seconds for light, speed of light, super, super fast. But obviously it takes a lot longer for us. There's a lot more rocket development going on right now, so I'm assuming we'll be back to the moon sooner than later. Speaking in terms of humans, not robots or satellites or anything like that. I think we were going to see another moon mission soon. But yeah, it's really far away, really quick for light. So, in the future, far future, hopefully we can get there in 1.28 seconds. That'd be cool. Interestingly, the moon smells like gunpowder because of its mineral composition. You get this gunpowdery smell, which I think is interesting. Obviously, you're not going to be smelling the moon because you're going to have to wear a spacesuit. There's no atmosphere, no oxygen. But if you could, if we take some chunks of the moon, that's what you'd smell when you brought it back to Earth. The moon is about 2,100 miles in diameter, which is, if you look at a circle, half of the distance through it is radius, the full distance is diameter. So that's going to be about 1/4 of an Earth. That's a good way to think about it, which is still really big. Still very big. Obviously not as big as the Earth, and it's pretty much all just a big rock. No have an atmosphere there or anything, but definitely very significant. And yeah, it's pretty cool. The biggest moment for us as a species, right, is going to be the Apollo 11 mission. This is July 20th, 1969. We touched down on the moon. It was Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. We get that famous quote, "Man, one giant leap for mankind." That's what it is. And, the cool thing about this, there's a million cool things, but one of the cool things is that the footprints we still see are still there today. because, we don't really have a lot going on, right? We don't have, like I said before, we don't have water, we don't have tornadoes, we don't have anything like that. So you can go up there, you can still see the flag, you can still see the footprints, after 60 years. Very, very cool. Another big part of the moon, right, in our history with the moon is going to be tides and actual cultural influence, right? So tides, that's really a breakdown of the moon has a lot of mass. It has its own gravitational pull. It's affecting the gravitational field, which brings the tides in and out, which creates waves. So we wouldn't have waves without the moon, which would obviously be a huge problem. We're so used to the waves, we rely on that for a lot. So think of the moon, think of waves. But this also kind of plays into another aspect of society for thousands of years. Most cultures, I would say most cultures, have had some folklore or association with the moon. You can think of werewolves, vampires, stuff like that. Or you can think of in like pagan religions when most of them had a moon goddess or a moon god, right? So people have always been very inspired by looking up into the sky and seeing this object that they didn't know about. So, very big part of our lives, both culturally and scientifically, I would say. We made it a huge point to land there, but also what controls our tides, or influences them. I don't know if controls is the right word, but thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned a lot about the moon. Hopefully, sooner than later, we're going to be able to visit the moon relatively easily. I don't know if that's going to be our lives or maybe a couple more generations, but don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below what you thought of this video and what you want me to look up next. And yeah, so no cheese, but big rock. So thank you guys for watching.